Phoebe Walker. She was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2021. She has a master's degree. She's the founder of DAM MS 411. I cannot wait to hear and learn why she chose the words DAM MS 411. All right, so we'll hear about that in a short bit. And Phoebe also does dance. She does competitive dance for herself. So we're going to hear about that as well. I want to let everybody know that this is an MS Views Now program. It is sponsored by, well, we could see Sandoz and Sanofi, and it's an MS Views and News program. All right, and you can see it all right in front of you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I am Phoebe, and I first want to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm so excited that you're here to learn a little bit about this, because this is definitely an understated element of physical therapy for people with MS. So, and then there is way too much for me to go over in one session. So I want to keep this one personal, talk about my testimony, my personal experience through it all, and what brought me to dance, and where I am currently, and how I'm going to roll it forward. So my history is that, I apologize, I gave Stu the wrong dates, but it was 2001, not 2021, that I was diagnosed with MS. For me at that time, it was like a death sentence, because at the time my mother and her brother both had MS, and it was not the kind of MS that I wanted to have for me, so I fought it. I was a really angry person, and I don't think people in my house really could handle me very much at that time. It took a little bit of time for me to start turning my thoughts to be more positive. And at that point, I decided it was time to go back to college. The other big disappointing point was that in 2001, I had received my acceptance letter for pre-med, and I had to turn that down. That, in addition to the diagnosis, was a really shocking thing for me. Fortunately, I was able to get over that, and that by 2005, I was able to get my bachelor degree, and that was in biology. And then that followed by another really big hitter in 2006. This was probably the biggest turning point in my multiple sclerosis story. And this is when my husband was getting deployed to go overseas. At this point, I only had about 4 lesions in my brain, and he had been gone. My kids left for school. I woke up, took a shower, and fell on the floor, and I couldn't get back up. This was the starting point of a year-long, I call it the darkest year of my life. I lost all sight. It was black blind in both my right and my left eye. I was physically incapacitated to the point I couldn't do anything for myself. And that was just really rough. So it took the better part of a year for me to get most of those abilities back. But I didn't know really what it was that was causing it to be that bad. I was always told, if it's MS, you only lose eyesight in one eye, not both, that both sides of your body won't be affected at the same time. And I was quickly learning that a lot of those things were potentially myths. And so regardless, I had to turn my thought process around from being negative and thinking that I wasn't going to live at all, to finding a way to get up and move again. And this seems to be a pattern in my life, is that things with MS will hit really hard, and I think that things are just horrible and I can't get over it. And then I have to turn the thoughts positive, find something to move myself forward. And this is when I decided it was time for me to do more for myself. And by 2010, I decided to go back to graduate school. And thankfully, I was able to do that. My neurologist said that people with MS tend to have a lot of issues when we push ourselves. And so he set me up to receive steroids every 8 weeks for about a week. And that's what we did for the 3 years that I was in graduate school. And so I came out with my degree in leadership, which I think is really amazing. It helps me with everything that I'm doing forward now, even with my self-talk and helping me to turn things around. Then by 2014, I was just kind of in a settling down phase. I'd finished graduate school. I wasn't able to find work because I had too many issues with overheating, and my employers weren't willing to work with my problems there. And so I sat down and wrote out my memoir, my MS memoir. It kind of told the whole story about where things started for me, and gave all the dark details about my darkest year and how I moved forward, and how I kind of challenge other people to rise above their hardships with MS, or anything for that matter, and be able to just keep living, because that's what we're here to do, right? Is live. And now I'm going to turn the next stage. This is where dance stepped in. I had finished all of my emotional health, I thought, and I had worked really hard on fixing my academic side of my brain, and I wanted to now work on my physical part. MS had taken a lot from me, balance, dexterity, you name it. Many of you probably have similar issues. And my husband came up with the idea, how about let's dance? I heard something on the radio about a ballroom dance studio that does social dancing. We can combine date night with something to help you physically. And I'm going to tell you, I've talked to a lot of other people with MS about dance, and many of the excuses or the statements that they make about it are the same ones I gave my husband. I said, what if I overheat? I don't feel like I have enough strength. What if one leg is stronger than the other and I trip? What if I get to class and decide it's too much and I just can't handle it? I'm afraid of what people are going to see when they see me. Are they going to say bad things about me? I had a whole plethora of things, and I'm like, no, I just can't do this. I just can't do this. And finally I went, and I will tell you that when we walked there, we got to the dance studio. Not all of them are on a second floor, but this one happened to be on a second floor. I opened the door and I looked up the stairs, and I'm like, they were really steep and really skinny in an old building, and I just didn't even think I'd get up the stairs. And so the first day, we actually turned around and walked away, and I apologize to my husband for that. Anyway, but we did go back. He talked me into going back on another day. We went back. I went up those stairs, and it was my first victory, was being at the top of the stairs. And then while I was there, I had so many thoughts, but most of them were on how crappy I felt, and worrying about what other people were thinking about me. And so at first it was really kind of rough, but I stayed and I stuck through it. And by the end of the night, I was actually really happy. I found a new kind of joy that I hadn't experienced in years. And with MS, it was easy for me to pull myself aside and find myself sitting on a couch or trying to isolate myself, just too many thoughts. And I think that sometimes we think too much. And so I had to get out of that mindset. And it was just so happy. The people there were amazing. They were friendly. They were not thinking any of the thoughts that I had thought about myself or what I thought they might be thinking about me. And it just was a really amazing experience. And so I kept going back. Did I notice any physical changes right out the gate? No. The biggest thing was just the pure joy, the celebration that I was able to move my feet and realize that I wasn't falling. And then the one time where I did actually stumble, I actually had a dance partner who caught me. So, I mean, what's wrong with that? That's actually kind of a little bit romantic if it's your spouse or your partner is your dance partner also. And the great thing about it is that everybody starts in the same place. We all kind of come in with 4 and 5 left feet. So, I mean, maybe some people have it in their body where they are acclimate to it a little bit quicker, but we all start in the same place. So while it was rough at first, I realized that there were some real big benefits. Now, this was in 2016. So for 4 years, I was dancing probably once a week, and then I got up to where I was probably dancing 3 times a week. And we attended social dances on Friday night, my husband and I together. And then COVID happened. COVID was a really big tell sign for me because it didn't take long. COVID happened and the dance studios closed because there's not really such thing as social distancing when you're social dancing. And so this became my personal proof that dance was actually helping me, because it didn't take long before all of the things that had helped me, that had improved from dance, started going backwards. I'm going to backstep for a second. It probably was about 3 months into my dancing where I looked back at my life and realized, wait, I'm not having issues with incontinence as much as I had. I actually can my thought process is working better. I could add like 2 + 2 in my head. Okay, maybe that's an underestimate, but I was able to add single digits in my brain without having to use my fingers. And that's something I hadn't done for a long time. My dexterity, my ability to actually process weight on my legs, even though the sensation in my legs told me I wasn't putting weight on it, I knew I was putting weight on it. I don't know how many of you out there struggle with the issue of your brain is telling you that you don't have weight there when really you do. I still dance even though I have that, because I have to tell my brain that what it's telling me is a lie, and I pay attention more to where my weight is going. And as long as I can keep focus on my core, it really helps the rest of it. So once COVID happened, I noticed that those things that had started getting better were now getting worse. And that hurt me. I was like, I need to get back into some physical activity. And so I went online and I started researching. I was like, okay, there's got to be some place out there that does online physical activity. And I came across an organization called RAMS. And that stands for Run a Mile in My Shoes. Like not a mile, M-I-L-E, but the myelin, like the myelin sheath. And I absolutely love Miss Cheryl. She's just fantastic. And she got me up and active and moving. And that just was the best thing. So that helps me. It didn't help me the same way dance did, because running is linear. And dance actually causes you to move different parts of your body, and you shift your weight from one side to the other. You turn this way and you turn that way. So it's different for your body. It's a full workout. And then as COVID moved along and 2023 happened and dance studios are opening back up, I found a new dance studio and a new private instructor. And that new instructor took me to 2 dance competitions only 4 months after I started dancing with him in 2023. And I actually walked away with some awards. So I knew that I had gained the ability to dance over those 4 years. I can't even begin to tell you the mental enjoyment and just the overall self-esteem boost that you get for being able to dance and take yourself to a new level. Do you have to compete to get all the benefits of dance? No, it's a personal thing for me, and I have really come a long way. And I love the challenge. I love to challenge my body. I love to push myself to my limits. And of course, with MS, you really kind of have to watch that. So now the next step here, as I'm going to competition in 2023, and I'm realizing that these things my dance life is giving me all of these abilities and helping to improve MS symptoms again, I decided it was time for me to try and share it. I'd never heard about dance for MS before, and I started doing research online. And there's a difference between just looking for research or looking for something called peer-reviewed research. If you're doing research, you need to look for peer-reviewed research because it is the one that is tried and true. It's tested and it's set up back and forth on itself. And other researchers will come in and read it and pay attention to what the research is. So with that, you get the quality of research. So you want to make sure that you are getting the peer-reviewed research. Anyway, so I had a lot of that backed up for me, and I said, okay, now I'm going to go the next step. I didn't know whether I was going to go to the national dance organizations or the multiple sclerosis societies, but I knew that I needed to go somewhere. And so I started my website first, and I applied for nonprofit, and eventually I did roll into both the National Dance Societies, the Multiple Sclerosis Society. I do have a monthly MS group that is more of, we impromptu gather together, and I have a private Facebook group, and people come together and we talk about our perks there. And it is a good group for everybody who has MS or other autoimmune disorders that limit your physical abilities to come and just connect over dance. And, you know, I haven't really heard anybody say that they had physical issues from dancing, you know, where they pushed so hard that they caused their symptoms to get worse. I've only just heard promising things from that. So it's a really good place to meet. Now, in our world where many people with MS, we go out and we talk to individuals about our situation, and a lot of people want to give us advice. Okay, try this. This is good. Try that. That's good. Even going to your doctor and they suggest different things for you to do. What people don't pay attention to is the cost that goes into it. And so I wanted to make this something available to individuals, but I wanted to make it possible for them, you know, not only raising the awareness of it, but giving them the means to make it happen. So when I created DAMS, my DAMS stands for Dance a Myelin, like the myelin sheath, my shoes. And since there's already a DAMS out there, I had to add something else. So I added the numbers 411, since 411 used to stand for information. So basically it's for giving you information about dance and MS. And so I created that, and then I wanted to create the way for raising funds to help individuals to pay for lessons. I am still very new. I only got my nonprofit status last year. And so in the process of doing this, I've learned that nonprofits have difficulty getting government funding until they've been around for 3 years. Well, since I have a strong medical background and biology background, and I have already done peer-reviewed research and had it published in peer-reviewed journals, I am actually starting for going forward with DAMS. I am writing out 2 separate researches that I'm going to lead and write and get published in peer-reviewed journals. And by doing that, I should be able to circumvent that and work on getting funding. I'm still in the process of looking for individuals that would be interested in participating in that. So if you are interested, you can always reach out to me. I do have some individuals, but I'm definitely looking for more. But this is something that I want to become something large. It's such an understated thing. I mean, even with my own personal neurologist, when I first started talking to him about it, he didn't know anything about it. And at first he questioned it. But like I said, I started dancing in 2016, and I had stopped taking MS medications in 2015 on account of all of the ones that I had been taking I was having really bad side effects. And so dancing was the thing that came in. And my neurologist started noting over the years that I wasn't having new lesions and that I was gaining strength, and many of the symptoms that I had been coming in with, he was noticing that they weren't as bad. And so he's actually a very good proponent for dance, and he tells me always, just keep doing what you're doing, make sure you don't push it too much. And so I do exactly that. There are times where I probably do push a little bit too much, but then I back off. So, but definitely before you get involved in any of the physical activities, I do want to throw this caveat out there. You want to talk to your neurologist. My neurologist never flat out said no, but I never even asked him at first. I probably should have. I just realized the benefits, and I took him the benefits. And then every time I come up with new research, I bring it to him. And there is a whole lot of peer-reviewed research. My website, dams411.org, I have probably 25 or so listed peer-reviewed researches that you can click on and go to and see for yourself that there's, I mean, I wanted to show you that. That's one of the things I was going to bring up in the meeting, was that key points from research are high for people with MS who do ballroom dancing is higher level of motor control, increased practice intensity, that you can start at your basic level and over time you notice that the level that you dance is actually a higher level than you started because you do actually improve with time. Your mental focus improves. You have an amazing ability to have social connections. And that really is a big point for people with MS, like I said, because it's too easy to get stuck at home. You're able to fulfill more of your own individual needs. And you just kind of, it's a progressive thing. You start at whatever level you need to start at, you progress. I have been in areas where I have fallen back a little bit. I mean, it's no different than anything else with MS, but then it's just as easy to get back up. And I notice each time if I fall backwards, when I progress forwards, then it works out. It comes together a lot quicker. So I do want to bring up a couple of questions or a couple of statements, and then we're going to end up going into question and answer session at this point. But I wanted to make some last statements, and one of my biggest things is, as somebody with MS and I have a lot of pain, it is really easy for me to sit on a couch and suffer in a lot of pain and then end up ruminating on that and catastrophizing. And eventually I'm just feeling sick to my stomach because I'm stuck in the house and I can't do this and I can't do that. And you just kind of got to stop thinking about what you can't do, focus on what you can do. And if you're going to be in pain at home, why not take your little pain bottom outside and hope for something positive to happen? I can't tell you how many times I've left the house feeling pain. And after leaving the house and going out and doing something, I realized that I was more capable of having fun leaving the house than staying at home. And even on a few occasions, I forgot that I was in pain, even if only for, a little moment. But there are benefits to getting up and leaving the house. So dance is not an immediate fix-all, cure-all, but it definitely helps. And there are some very immediate responses to it. So I want to thank you all very much for your time. Stu's going to come back on and do some questions with us. So whenever Stu comes back, we can do our questions. Thank you all so much.
I am here. I have been here. And I think it's wonderful what you are doing. Firstly, thank you for speaking. Everybody give a round of applause. Isn't that great? I can't hear you, but I can only imagine that you're all doing it, okay? All right. First, I want to let you know that Maria in Miami says, "Hi, Phoebe, you're awesome." Phoebe is my Facebook friend. Yay. Okay. Yay. And she wants to let you know that she used to be an avid dancer. She was an avid dancer in her teenage years, and the list goes on, but I'm not going to read her entire thing. All right. Next, the person online says, "Are there any YouTube classes that we can watch and practice at home?"
There are. If I actually go to YouTube and type in dance for MS. Some of them are not actually dancing that you can follow. Some of them are. You kind of got to go through the videos, but I on my private Facebook page, I have posted a lot of videos from YouTube. So I'm constantly perusing through there looking for new videos because I just think that it's beautiful to be able to share that.
Great, thank you. What are the best forms of dance would you recommend that people, especially with multiple sclerosis, that they do for themselves and or for safety?
That actually is a really good question. And I can't give a specific dance. It's going to depend on the person. I think that tango is probably one of the best ones for hold. But you could do any one of the dances. Yeah, you could do any one of the dances in hold. But again, it's going to depend because I don't do Latin, but I know other people with MS do Latin and it works out much better for them than smooth.
Great, thank you. Do you think line dancing would work as well as ballroom dancing?
I'm going to say It's going to depend on your ability. If you have balance issues, I would definitely not, because line dancing is you doing it by yourself.
Great, thank you. Next person is asking for the name of your web address again.
It is pretty simple. It's D as in door, A, M, M, S, 411.org.
Damn MS411.org. Okay, there you go. All right. Yes, another person answers that Latin dancing does it for her. And now I'm going to get into some other questions. What do you do when you overheat in dance or while not dancing?
Yeah, overheating has been the worst for me. I now carry a backpack everywhere I go. There's really good ice out there that will hold temperature in the 50s. And we carry ice around. I went to a fire station years ago thinking, who is the best person that I can think of that would get the hottest that needs to cool off? And I was like, oh, firemen, they jump into fires. And I asked them and they said, cool your forearms and your hands. I used to wear the full ice vest and it didn't cool me fast enough. Now I put ice on my forearms and my hands and I cool off within minutes. So
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. For those that are online and do not know me or do not know MS Views and News, I want to let you know that my name is Stuart Schlossman. I'm president and founder of MS Views and News. I too have multiple sclerosis. I asked Phoebe to be online today because, well, she does something that I've never thought about for anybody to be doing. And so because I felt this was so unique that I wanted to have her here discussing this with you, and I wanted to make sure that as many people know about it as they possibly can. But for those of you that are online, please know that if you have to ask a question, then please ask your question. Please do not wait for somebody else to ask a question that you want asked, because it may never get asked. So if you have something to ask, please ask it. That's plain and simple. All right, I have some questions. There are questions coming in online, and I'm going to get back to things in a second. How long did it take for you to notice the positive benefits of your ballroom dancing?
I really looked right about 3 months in, and that's when I turned around and noticed that I wasn't peeing myself as often, and I had better thought. I could add things, I could remember things. It was so much better for me at that point. And balance, dexterity, I could hold on to things better, everything. It just kind of seemed. So about 3 months.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is, how does your neurologist, well, you already told us how your neurologist feels about your dancing, but has your neurologist ever gone dancing with you?
No, but he has watched my videos and he is absolutely shocked to see my capability. And like I said, I started out in flat shoes. My steps were slow and clunky, and now I wear heels and I compete and can turn and do lifts. And so I've come a long way.
Great, thank you for that. Next, so many people feel that if they do alternative therapies, whether it be dance or something else, that it just automatically means that they could come off their MS therapy. What do you have to say about that?
I'm going to say I maybe am not, but I don't think that that's something for everybody. I think that that's something that's very individual, and you need to keep in tabs with your doctor on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Next person writes, how often did she dance in the first 3 months when she noticed the difference?
I had started out once a week for probably the first 4 to 8 weeks, and then I started twice a week in the third 4-week set. So it started out basically once a week.
Okay, great, thank you.
But that was with the class. I did practice some at home, probably a few minutes at home.
So tell us what you did when you were at home versus in class, and was there a difference?
Actually, the difference was it was just me and my husband at home, or me with a wall so I don't fall. So there was no social aspect, but I would just basically record the class. At the end of the class, they usually let you record it, and then I would go home and redo the steps at home. So I
Okay,
would
thank
just
you.
practice that.
All right, thank you. Anna wants to let you know that she thanks you for all the positive information. All right. Kay asks, where to go? How does someone dance with severe drop foot and spasticity?
I have crazy spasticity. And some of that, like I was talking in my conversation earlier, was you got to remember that part of it is that your brain messaging isn't right. So you need to watch yourself. I put a mirror in front of me when I was practicing at home, and I could tell when I was moving my leg that my foot would do this, and what I would practice in front of the mirror how to adjust my foot in that same movement to help me correct it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but you just got to remember that it's faulty messaging.
Okay, great. Next person, Kevin asks, does Ms. P have any experience with the Alexander method, theory of movement and dance?
I don't know what that is, but dance movement therapy sounds pretty awesome to me. I'm actually contacted the American Dance Therapy Association in the United States, very large organization, and I'm starting to partner with them. So I may learn more
Okay,
about that.
great. Darlene asks, do you do any stretches before dance?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Stuart asks, how do you find the right instructor to teach someone with MS?
That's a little bit more tricky. As DAM's organization, I take it upon myself to contact, if you want to find the right person, I can contact the dance instructors and contact the national dance organizations and make sure people have certifications for different things. Some places have more ability than others, but the bottom line is making sure that your dance instructor knows that you have MS and exactly what your challenges are, like drop foot or spasticity or balance. Because for all the dance studios I've ever been to, I explained to them that I have MS and these are my issues, and they have been very willing to work with me on that.
Great, thank you. Robin asks, what proof is there that dance helps people with multiple sclerosis?
There is a lot of research. I was bringing up that whole peer-reviewed. I can't stress peer-reviewed research enough, but it's out there and I'm getting ready to add to it. There's not a long study, so that's one of the ones I'm going to do. So I'm going to start with a 1-year study and I want to get ultimately up to a 5-year study on it to show the benefits and the improvements that come with it.
Okay. Anna asks, if having mobility and balance issues, what would I get from the benefit of going to dance hall and chair dance, meaning swaying, etc., with the music?
Okay, can I get you to read the first part of that again?
If
So
I'm
is it
having
somebody with
mobility and
having
balance issues, if I'm having mobility and balance issues, would I get benefit out of going to the dance hall and chair dance, meaning swaying with music?
Yes, there is research and even some YouTube videos on individuals who they can't do weight bearing. They're stuck in a wheelchair or they just can't be on their feet. There are so many benefits to music alone, but put music on and move any part of your body that you are capable of moving, and you can gain many benefits that way too.
Great, thank you. Jill asks, can dance cause MS symptoms to get worse?
I have not seen it happen, and I thought for certain when I went to competition that I was going to have issues. I even went to my neurologist and asked him to give me some steroids just in case, and I've been to competition now 3 times and I haven't had to use steroids, and that's going to competition is incredibly difficult and challenging. So if I can do that and not have a neurologic issue, I think is pretty good. I can't say it's going to be the truth for everybody, but I think if you go at a nice slow pace and your body gets used to it, I don't think that it's going to be a problem. No different than going to a gym or to physical therapy.
Great. And because I love this word so much, who is DAM MS 411 and why did you create it?
Okay, so DAMS 411 it stands for dance a myelin, like the myelin sheath, my shoes. And then the 411 is for information. And I originally started it for individuals with multiple sclerosis, but I have come a long way in research and learning that so many other autoimmune disorders are benefiting from it that I'm trying to expand DAMS to go beyond just MS, but MS is my primary focus.
Thank you. Are you in a partnership with any other organization?
I am in partnership with a couple of places. I'm actually working with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, Multiple Sclerosis Foundation, and the American Dance Therapy Association. And then I'm actually, and now as far as partnership for helping with MS, not necessarily, but I'm working with the American Dance Association, trying to work with instructors to help individuals with MS.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that you got in with the National MS Society and the MS Foundation, but that they ever have you on a program like this.
I have been in the magazine from the MS Focus. I'm probably going to be in that one this year. And then the Momentum magazine, I was December, not last year, but the year before.
I'm so glad that we could get you onto a video and people can hear you speak rather than reading text.
Yes.
Okay? All right. Have you ever met Gretchen Hawley as an MS physical therapist?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay. Well, that is a question asked by a person named Darlene, and I'm going to just tell you that Gretchen Hawley is a physical therapist that does work with MS Views and News and many other organizations. And she was just recently interviewed by Fox News and is an awesome interview. And whoever missed it, find it online because I can't be more proud of Gretchen for what she did with that video. All right.
Nice.
Okay. Next, what was your worst experience with multiple sclerosis and how long did it take you to recover? And do you have any abilities that were never fully recovered?
My worst experience was from 2006. I really thought I was going to die. I didn't think I was going to have a life. I was a blob on a floor and I was blind. And my husband was deployed with the Navy and I had 2 kids at the house and it took we didn't have anybody. We had somebody from a church that came to our house 4 nights a week to bring dinner and brought my kids home from school when they needed, picked up early. But that was probably the longest year of my life. Slowly, you know, they say tomorrow's going to be better. One thing would get worse and then 4 more would get worse. And then one thing would get better and 7 things got worse. And it really did take a long time. I will say that at the other side of that, almost all of my abilities came back, but I have permanent optic nerve damage in both eyes. So that's visible.
Okay. What would you say to a person who cannot stand to dance?
I think that dance is still awesome. Dance doesn't mean you have to stand on your feet. And I would suggest that they go to YouTube and look up dance for people in wheelchairs because there are some of the most amazing dancers out there that dance from wheelchairs. With partners in a wheelchair, with partners that aren't in a wheelchair, they're just beautiful dances from the wheelchair.
Do you know any of the websites that pertain to that?
No, I don't have websites. Other than mine, I don't know any other websites.
Okay. Do you know of anything that would be best for a person that is totally disabled and whether it be in a scooter or a wheelchair? Do you have any specific dance genres that you would recommend for one of them?
Actually, I think they could do any one of them. I actually on my website, on my Facebook group, I have video of somebody that is in a reclined wheelchair with just the little electric for moving. Did one of the most beautiful waltzes I've ever seen. I've even seen some of them doing more Latin dances. So it's going to be time, how much time you want to put into it, and listening to music and moving whatever you can physically move. That's dance.
Okay.
And
I would love to see them do a tango from one chair to another.
Oh, that would be really cool, wouldn't it?
That would be very cool. Yes. All right. So last question that I have for you. Were you ever afraid of potential negative effects that dancing could cause your multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, it was before I ever even started, because my last medicine was December of 2015, and I started dancing in May of 2016, end of April, beginning of May. And every time I felt something little, I thought the MS was coming back, and I was wondering if dance was going to make it worse. And I was happy to say that not only was it not getting worse, it started getting better. And then when I decided I was going to try and start competing, I was concerned that maybe it was going to be too much, and that maybe it would cause problems. But because I'd spent so much time working my way towards that, and I have a very good instructor who's actually trained in body movement and has a PhD in dance, he was able to teach me the right steps, the way to do them to help my body.
Okay, that's fabulous. Now, as far as Phoebe's concerned, I want to let you all know that she's got that website. It's DAMMS411. And is that a .com or a .org?
Org.
.org. Okay, so it's DAMMS411.org. So if you want to see anything else about Phoebe, you can look at that place. All right, go to that website. Thank you very much, Phoebe, for joining us. And we want to thank everybody that has been online for joining us tonight. As they say, namaste. I don't know the symbols of it, but namaste. There we go. All right. Thank you for joining us. Phoebe, thank you for being with us. And I'm going to tell my editor or my producer to say good night, everybody.